Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel. And then we'll add an actual score so that we track how many we get points for picking these up. Cool, so we could add this in here, but we already have this like super light, low thermo pickup, which is really cool. So what we could do, every time this is picked up, this will happen. So we may as well put our scoring logic in here instead. So the obvious way to do it is to add a score gadget like that. And then we can put the score modifier in here and say add 1 to the score when it's powered. So when this is emitted, it will just add 1 to the score. And I'll have this display on the screen so we can see if it's working. Over here, number displayer, and we wire that into the number range. And I'll just put that in the middle up there. And now, as we pick them up, it's adding 1 to our score. So the cool thing with this is we can actually post it to an actual scoreboard in our dream. So let's have a look at how to do that. So I have tutorials already on how scores work, so you should check those out, and how dreams and scenes work. So check that out as well to make sure you're doing it right. So when shall we have this score work? I'll just use a button on the controller. So maybe we'll have the touchpad. When I click the touchpad, it will post the score. And let's just go for that and see what happens. Then I'll test the dream. This scene is in this dream, so we can just test that out. And I'll run around and collect some stuff. And then push the touchpad. And then exit. And there's a scoreboard. Yay! And I had 5, and it's posted score. The score of 5. And if I get a better score, then it will replace it. And things like that. So that's about all you need to do for a scoreboard for your collectibles. Of course, you don't have to wire from a button or whatever into the score. You could use any wire from anything. So if you had a trigger zone and you want to know when the player is in that zone, you could just wire that into the score, and now it will post the score when you jump on there. So then when I play the scene and I collect some score like this, and then I jump into that zone, it will post a score. But what if you want to remember how many collectibles you've got during play? And maybe you collect a load of stuff in here, and then you go to another scene, and it carries on counting how many you've collected as you collect more in that other scene. For that, you'd need a variable. So you go over to the yellow section and get a variable. And this is like your collectibles, how many collectibles you've collected. And we can wire that into there. So this is your collectibles version that's yellow. So let's make that yellow. And this is your score, which is white because it's got a white thing on there. So at the moment it's only adding to the score, but instead we want to add to the variable. So we'll have a variable modifier instead of a score modifier, and this will affect the collectibles variable if we type in collectibles in here. Like that. And this will add 1 again. So we're just tracking the same score in the same way, but we're tracking it in a variable instead. And then we can turn on persist in dream. And that means when you leave this scene, it remembers what number this variable had. And then when you go to another scene, or you go away from the game and come back later, then it will still remember that number. So that's cool. So now when we run around, it's adding to the variable on the left and not the score on the right. So now when we play in the dream, we can collect a load of stuff and the variable remembers it. And then if we exit or we leave the scene into another scene and then we come back to it, it still remembers the variable number, and then we can add more to it like that. And now we want to kind of put that into the score so that we can still send stuff to the scoreboard. For that we can just take our variable and pipe it into a score modifier, just like we had a score modifier in here adding to it. We can use a score modifier to set the value of the score, and we can do that continuously so that it's not just when it turns on or when it emits or whatever. It will just always be setting the score to the current value of the variable, and now this one will update constantly to whatever that is. So let's play it again, and now they both say 3, and then we can go into things and they both update all the time. And then if we play from the dream, we can add some things to it and then post a score, and it posted 9, but it didn't properly post because we haven't uploaded it again. But it will post the score in here just as it did before, but we'll have that extra feature of being able to carry through our score between different scenes. So instead of it needing to be just one scene in this whole dream with all the collectibles in, we can have lots of different scenes with lots of like different areas or whatever you want to do, and it will keep on adding to that score. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.